Welcome to the Two Guys, One Coup podcast with Dale and Jim, where the truth matters and progressives' feelings don't. We bring you the facts from the perspective of two average, everyday guys who will never apologize for being America first, for adhering to our great Constitution, and for saluting the flag that our brothers and sisters have fought and died for. And now, here's Dale and Jim.
Well, hello, Jim.
Hello, Dale.
I was going to make up some like James Horatio, like your middle name. I was going to kind of give you that today. I don't know why. But you don't look like you're in a mood for that. So we're just going to move on. And we got a little bit of the weekend. You know, everyone, the first recording of the week is always a little bit more tiresome than the rest. How was your weekend? Good, bad, ugly, indifferent?
It was okay.
Good,
I noticed
good.
you were out of, you had some fun this weekend, so that's good.
Yeah. Mama got the gambling itch.
Good.
So we went away and then we came back and hung around the resort area in our backyard for a little bit, the pool, and had some drinks there and grilled out last night. It was a good weekend.
Awesome.
Good weekend overall.
Good.
Working on that summer body. It's never going to happen. I'm just telling you, it's never going to happen. Jim, we got another good show today. I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. We have a couple stories that we're going to get to, and we'll get into those. We have the second half of the show, we have our first half of our interview with a gentleman by the name of Kareem J.A. Jackson. Before we introduce that interview, we'll go into a little bit more detail about what that interview might be about and how people might react to that interview. Mm-hmm. But it's definitely worth a listen.
Yep.
Correct?
Yeah, open mind.
I'd say it's worth open mind and listen, which is hard for you and I, but we got ourselves through it. He's a good dude, and he's a friend to us, I believe, at this point. And you'll understand it when we get into it a little bit more.
But it's a perfect example, and he even said it too. It's a perfect example of individuals that disagree on so many things.
Yeah.
But we never raised our voice, never insulted. It was just and at the end of the day, it's okay to agree to disagree. And
it is.
And kind of learn that there's things that we can all do to help with it, and I think it'll be fun. Again, there's going to be some people that probably, aren't happy with some of the things, but we'll go into that more detail. So,
it is what it is. We can't agree on everything. The important part is that we can talk, and we can be civil, and we can be united in that front, right? Yeah. So that's the important part. Jim, let's get started with our story. Unless you got something else to say. Did I interrupt you?
Nope.
Okay, let's get started with this. And you go first today, brother.
Okay, so I've got a couple stories that I want to do, and they're going to be pretty quick. But the first thing I wanted to talk about was the student loan debt that's out there. You hear going on and on and on. You see it on Facebook, people giving references to this, references to that. And I could go into statistics if you want to. I can, but I'm not gonna, because it is what it is. I mean, you choose to go to college. You choose the college that you want to go to.
Yep.
If you don't fulfill your college years and leave, and then get a job, and then have to continue to pay that school loan back. Or if you get your 4-year degree, you pay that student loan back. It's not the rest of the American people, because that's who's end up going to be paying for this, right? It's the rest of the American, and some of which who didn't even go to school. Okay. And then to mention the ones like us that have already paid a lot of student loans.
That is also a great point, Jim, because you're going to get your money back.
No.
Am I going to get my money back? Hell no, we aren't. No. Right.
So just real quick, what I just want to say is, when you pick a school, when you choose a school, you have to choose that school based on what your career you're planning. Okay. So real quick, if you want to be a teacher, Beginning teacher pay is very low. We know that. We hear about it all the time. And now, obviously, you go up as you go on, but the beginning teacher's salary is low. So if you want to be a teacher and go to school, private school's probably out of the question, right? I mean, honestly, why go to a private school to get an elementary education degree when you know you're only going to be making $26,000 a year? Okay.
Yep.
So that becomes very important. We have a school here in Fort Wayne, that Purdue Fort Wayne University. I hate the Purdue point of it, but for a sport aspect, but from education, it's a good school. So more kids today, you have to choose. I know you want to go away, you want to learn the experience of going away, but if you choose to do that, which is fine, that's your choice, you got to pay. You have to pay for it. So use your head when choosing a college. If you want to go into social work, don't go to Harvard.
Yep.
You go to these schools based on what you're going to earn. That's what it is. And then when you fulfill that, whether you drop out or not, whether you fulfill it, you have to pay those loans back.
Correct.
You can't expect us and other taxpayers to flip the bill. You always hear that, well, this person is in, this person is that person. They lost their job or something like that, which I completely understand. It's horrible, and you can't file for bankruptcy on student loans. We all get into this position. However, if you do call the student loan people, they will help you. It's not like they say, "Nope, we need that money now." No, that's not what they do. They work with you, and so
now see, our student loan, is the cost of an education overpriced? Sure is. For most. Okay. I mean, in relative speaking. So the thought process is, I, as an 18-year-old, I can go grab myself $100,000 in student loans, right? In grants. Let's just say. But if I wanted to start a business, I couldn't get that loan because I have no collateral. I have no credit history. I have no, So is there a flaw in this system? Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think there is. And I think the pricing for schools is ridiculous. But like you said, you could stay in state. You get a lot more benefit that way, and it costs a lot less. And you still got to pay it back. Sorry, I just kind of wanted to throw that.
No, and that's fine. That's perfect, because now you got into these people who are getting student loans, who are getting student loans to live.
Oh, I know.
It's not to go to school. It's also to live. And you just run into this situation where you put yourself in this position, but you expect everyone else to pay for it. And I know that's going to sound harsh. It really does. But you can't always expect other people to pay for that. And it's just, it's sad. It's, you know a lot of people that started out in college, maybe a college that was pretty expensive, and they go to school 2-3 years, drop out. And then now they're complaining about having to pay student loans because, they're not even doing what they said they were going to do, but they still have to pay those loans. Well, why is that our fault to pay? Why is that? Why, and it's not just that, but it's every level of income that pays taxes. It's every level. When you're taxed, somebody has to cover this debt. $1.7 trillion right now in student loan debt. And so we're just going to wipe that out. Well, they're not just going to wipe it out. It's going to have to come from someone. Okay.
Yeah. Where's it go? Yeah. The banks, are the student loan companies, are they just going to say, okay, we're not going to take that money back?
So
it's
just
who's it coming from?
My little 2 cents. I mean, we can get more into this obviously later.
We can.
But I'm just getting tired of hearing about it. Just pay your student loans.
Here's an idea for everybody in life. You incur debt, you pay debt back.
Yeah. And
I didn't incur the debt for you. It's not my fault you incurred your debt.
Right. And I understand that, there's ways to file for bankruptcy. There's ways to do that for everywhere all over the place, but you can't do it on student loans. But the point of the matter is, if you get into a situation where you have to file for bankruptcy, okay, it happens. We make mistakes all the time, right? So there's nothing bad about it. There's not, it happens. People do it. Okay.
Yep.
But if you contact the student loan people, even though you can't file for bankruptcy on that, you can work out payments, guys. until you're
I mean,
ready to.
they will take as low as $25 a month
Yes.
to keep your loan active, to keep you in good standing, to not ruin your credit. They will take that payment. It's not like a mortgage payment or a car payment or something like that. So, Jim, yeah.
Anyway,
great.
So
go on. You got something else you want to say?
Yes,
too.
I do.
This is interesting.
Yeah, this is kind of interesting, and I think we really need to take a look at this. Okay, there's a Florida mother that is filing a suit that is issuing a stark warning to parents all over that after her transgender child transitioned at school without her consent.
I got to look this up, Jim. This is crazy.
13-year-old child.
Boy, girl, do we know?
I believe it was a girl transitioning to a boy, I believe.
Okay.
But a Florida mom and a mental health professional. Her name is January Littlejohn, and her attorney, Bernadette Broyles, discussed the lawsuit and why she's outraged over the incident.
The mother's name is January Littlejohn?
Yeah, January Littlejohn. Yep. Okay, they say this is happening all over the nation. The same protocol is in place in many, many schools across districts everywhere, and even the guides being used to dictate these transgender support plans that cut parents out even have the same language. So basically what this is if you are a child in school and you go up to your teacher, you go up to an administrator and say to them, I feel I need to transition. Mm-hmm. They will actually give you literature and stuff like that and start talking to you about this without the consent of a parent. Obviously, they're not going to go through because it takes longer to do the whole thing. But
understood.
So
they start the process by basically what Ron DeSantis is trying to avoid with younger. This is obviously an older, and I say older, it's a teenager.
It's a teenager. Yeah.
It's a teenager, but with the kindergarten, first, second, third grade is don't talk about any of that crap. Don't, right? Yeah. But obviously this one's older, and at this school, where's the school? Do we know what town or anything?
It did not say town. It just said school that she goes to, and I would imagine they're keeping this out because they don't want
I feel it's Orlando, but that's just my personal feeling.
So according to Littlejohn, her daughter was 13 years old at the time. She expressed confusion over gender during the pandemic. After a group of friends transitioned to the opposite sex. Group of friends, right? The transgender throughout is like, well, what did we figure out? 0.4% of the population is transgender.
Is it 0.4 or 0.04?
Well, whatever. But in this school, the percentage is like 30, or whatever the percentage is. But
what is happening?
So the mother actually, she found out that the school is working on what they call a transgender support plan. Okay. With her child, but the school initially declined to allow her involvement, given that it was protected by non-discrimination law, which is why they didn't inform. But eventually they did see the transgender support plan, which was a 6-page document that they completed with my daughter that was 13 at the time behind closed doors when they asked her questions that would have absolutely impacted her safety, such as what restroom she preferred to use, and if they're out of town on a school trip or something, what sex she wants to stay in the room. So this is a guy, just picture this, and I know this is going to sound crazy, but picture a guy who is going on a way to a school trip. I think of myself as a girl. And so now this guy is rooming with 3 girls.
Why did we not think of that?
Exactly. I know. Well, okay, so this comes, a Republican lawmaker sent a letter to Educational Secretary Miguel Cardona after a 12-year-old Florida girl reportedly attempted to commit suicide after undergoing secret gender transitions talks with her school. See, these are the things. These schools are not prepared to do this. How many times do we talk about this? They are not prepared. This is between a parent and a true professional.
Correct.
Okay, not a counselor at school. Not nothing like that. This is between the parents, the child, and proper psychological education. That's what this is. So you don't hear about this other stuff, right? You don't hear about the attempted suicide because this person probably wasn't prepared well because for whatever reason they are. And it bugs the hell out of me. But there's lawsuits in Wisconsin, Maryland, Oregon, California that are also going through the same thing, where schools are helping kids transition
Oh my
without
God.
parent consent. Yeah.
This is a much bigger story, and we're going to have to do some follow-up on it to see how large of an issue this really is. I mean, I had no idea. I could see why Florida, DeSantis, wanted to push that bill through. Not only was it starting to happen, but not only did it happen now in teenagers, but they wanted to push their thought process about it to younger kids, which is even crazier. I mean, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, even 18-year-olds cannot handle the thought of changing. They're not mature enough. Their brains aren't even fully developed. I mean, we all know this. Yeah. The studies are there, been there for multiple years, that their brains aren't even developed to handle this kind of situation. And you're right, Jim, when you say no teacher or stupid counselor in high school is either one trained or prepared to discuss this kind of thing with 12 and 13-year-old kids. It's just not possible.
Let alone without the parents' consent. And so
yes. And so here's where the argument's going to come. And I know we got to move on and all that, but who cares? Here's where the argument's going to come from the lunatics on the left. Well, the mother should have been more involved. She should know. She obviously wasn't approachable enough for the child to come talk to her about it. So they're going to blame it all on the mom, is what's going to happen, because that's what the left will do.
Of course.
Right? And it's crazy. It's lunacy to me.
And the point of the matter is, folks out there, this mother isn't necessarily saying that she wasn't supporting her child. The mother was saying this should never have taken place without me knowing what you were doing. Because she is a professional. I mean, she is, okay? She's a mental health professional. And but we are asking our schools, the left and the progressive movement, they're asking our schools to do above and beyond what they actually should be doing, and that's educating our children. And so when they sit there and they get mad because how many times do you have to hear it? You know, they call it book burning now is what the term is, you know, because we're scared to know the truth. Well, Dale, you and I, when we grew up, okay, we were taught about slavery. We were taught about what slavery was. We were taught how it was a bad part in our time, how it was terrible, how women's suffrage, you know, how women suffered and you know, all of this stuff. We learned about this. We learned about this in school. What more do we need to learn about it? It was a bad time. But the problem that they're doing with these educating in schools is they're teaching people that this is why you are who you are and where you're at is because of this.
Exactly.
And that's not what it should be.
Exactly. Well, it's not even that. They've removed that part of the history, right? So they've done, this is a different subject, obviously, but it coincides with what teachers are doing now, is that they've removed that part of the history, but yet they're willing to talk to you about transitioning. They're willing to talk to you about homosexuality. You know, I've always been a proponent of the separation of church and education, right? I've always been, maybe not anymore. It's a godless society, right? If this offends anybody out there, I'm not overly religious. I'm not a Jesus freak. I'm not that guy. I do believe, but I'm not that guy, you know. But I don't know. I think maybe more Bible study and less how can I cut my wiener off study might be a little more helpful.
Yeah, so, I just don't think it. I just don't. I think there probably needs to be some safe spaces in schools in terms of if a child really needs to talk to somebody. That's what guidance counselors are for. That's what teachers are for. But only to listen. Not to advise,
and certainly not to not let the parents know,
right? And because that should be the first thing that should happen is if a counselor or a teacher is approached by a child and say, "Hey, I'm kind of confused about my sexuality. I need help." Okay, that teacher, listen. The counselor needs to listen, and then eventually send an email or contact the parent saying, "Hey, we just had a talk with so and so." Because look, the first people to know when a child transitions or wants to transition or is confused about that, the last people to know are parents, right? That's generally one of the hardest things for children to do. So they talk to a friend or they talk to a teacher. So I don't have a problem with that, okay? Because you can't, these children have to talk to someone.
They got to have an outlet to go to someone.
My problem is when they try to fix this and do this stuff without notifying the parent. That's where I have the problem. So,
and even if the 13-year-old is like, you can't tell my dad. My dad's going to kill me.
Right.
I'm transitioning from a boy to a girl. My dad's going to kill me. Sorry. Yeah. I mean, you got to call them in. You got to have that conversation. You can't just take it upon yourself as a teacher or a counselor to decide what that student does next with its own body.
How many times do we have groups that are, that when children are in homes that are questionable, but they allow them to go back because the kids have to be with the mom and dad. They allow that to happen. So in something like this, I'm sorry, parents have to know. But anyway, okay.
Well, let's, Jim, good story. We'll keep track of that.
Yep.
That's an important one, I believe. So let's move on from Harry. Ready?
Yep.
Let's go. Well, you may or may not have heard, but this all took place shortly after our recording last week. So the end of last week, that the Biden administration has appointed a disinformation czar. I mean, I can't even almost say it without laughing.
Or anything a conservative says.
Well, okay. So, end of story. Yep. Which is being compared to, and I think, especially our age group, we all grew up having to read this book, 1984, right, by George Orwell. Yep. Yes, it's one of the books I've read. If you've listened to previous shows, I'm not a reader. I was forced to, but I did enjoy the book. But that was a minister of misinformation or minister of truth.
Right.
Well, I think is what it was called in there. That's basically what this is. So listen, Nina Jankowicz, and I swear, people, I'm going to try to put up a video and kind of splice it in here so you can all hear this lunatic, because it's important. And Jim, you probably heard her or heard videos of her, but 33 has been appointed executive director of the Department of Homeland Security's Disinformation Governance Board. I didn't even know we had one of those, but we do now, right? On Wednesday, so last week, officials announced that Nina Jankowicz, 33, will head the Department of Homeland Security's Disinformation Governance Board as executive director. It's a fancy title. Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, I believe I said that right, did not disclose any powers that would be granted to the dystopian-sounding board while addressing lawmakers on Wednesday. This, according to the Daily Wire article, he explained that the board would work to tackle disinformation ahead of the November midterms, particularly in Hispanic communities. Now, why particularly Hispanic? I mean, I think we've discussed on our last show.
Dropping eventually.
Why maybe particularly in Hispanic communities. But Mayorkas did say that the new board would come under the Biden-era Center for Prevention Programs and Partnerships, meaning it would have no powers to crack down on disinformation and will instead try to combat it by throwing money at what it sees as problems. I don't even know exactly what to think of that. But apparently they're going to buy ads, or they're going to... We know what's going to happen. But anyways, since then, though, smart conservatives had discovered that Jankowicz previously published information that was later found to be false or misleading. Well, how could that be true, right? I mean, she's the misinformation czar.
Right.
In one instance, back when the global pandemic was just beginning, Jankowicz, quote, tweeted a post from Rob Lethern, who worked on integrity products at Facebook, and announced that the company was giving the World Health Organization, the WHO, and other health groups as many free ads as needed to tackle the worldwide COVID-19 response. This is good, Jankowicz wrote in March 2020. Now, I hope the rest of the ad tech industry stops placing ads for masks and worse, straight up disinformation on articles and information about coronavirus. Jankowicz also wrote at the time that our country might be to free-spirited, as she said, to comply with social distancing recommendations unless they're forced upon us. So force away, lock us down. People are not taking this seriously, she wrote, after apparently being within 6 feet of a high school-aged couple. Okay? Jankowicz also claimed online ahead of the 2016 presidential election that a Donald Trump presidency would embolden ISIS, when in reality, the Islamic State collapsed under the Trump administration, which also carried out the successful operation to kill head Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. Remember him?
Yep. But that wasn't misinformation, though.
That wasn't misinformation. That's just opinion, right?
Exactly.
Or is that how this works?
Yep.
She also, I'll go on here real quick. She also said in February that Russia's invasion of Ukraine would have been so much worse under the former president, apparently reiterating his alleged ties to the country. And in an August of 2020 tweet, my apologies, Jankowicz apparently hyped up former British spy Christopher Steele as he spoke about disinformation.
Huh.
Yeah, she wrote at the time that she listened to a podcast featuring Steele, saying he provides some great historical context about the evolution of disinformation. Worth a listen, she tweeted. But Steele's infamous dossier about Trump allegedly colluding with Russia prior to 2016 presidential election has since been discredited, as we know. If you don't follow the Durham investigation, you'll know then. Still, Jankowicz has not yet apologized for any of these tweets, and they remain available for anyone to see on her Twitter page. Twitter didn't take them down yet.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, a Twitter story, and then I'll move on. You know, Mike Lindell jumped back on Twitter, right? My
Yep.
Pillow Mike Lindell.
Yep.
2 hours later, he was removed. So, and all he tweeted was, "I'm back." And they removed him again. So, all you lefty weirdos, maybe Elon Musk isn't as in charge as you think yet.
Right. Not
We'll
yet.
see.
Well, he's not yet anyway. It's
Not yet. I know he's not yet,
Yeah.
but I mean, I think, yeah, correct. Anyways, so Jim's former girlfriend, Jen Paskey, and prior to us airing on the show, I found out that Jim has officially broke up with Jen Paskey, correct?
Yes.
And how she took it, how, again, Jim, how
I think
how'd
she's
she
going to
take
be
it?
okay. We just agreed to move on and see other people.
did she? She wasn't too disheartened by it?
No, it's okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'm shocked. She wasn't as more upset about it.
Yeah,
But anyways, former, go on. I'm sorry.
We just have too many different opinions.
Do you? I can't imagine that. Well, anyways, Jim's ex-girlfriend, Jen Paskey, insisted Friday that what the Biden administration's Homeland Security Secretary said last week was a new effort from his agency was in fact a continuation of Trump-era efforts. She's saying that what they're doing is just continuing what Trump started. Paskey also danced around a question from Jackie Heinrich of Fox News, who asked about Nina Jankowicz, the woman appointed to the head new board that we just talked about. She said, "Yesterday you had told me that you were not familiar with Nina Jankowicz. I'm wondering if you have more information on her today." Jen Paskey responded, "What's the process for putting?" Oh no, she said also in statements, "What is the process for putting her in a position like this? Who is in charge of her hiring?" Paskey then recited from Jankowicz's biography that she was an expert on an online disinformation. She said the hiring of Jankowicz was a Department of Homeland Security matter, and they'd have to talk to them because she just didn't know anything about it, right? Paskey also claimed the new board was involved in ongoing work back to former administration, back to Trump, to address how and understand how misinformation is spread by human smugglers that prey on vulnerable people attempting to migrate to the United States. She's saying that's what now they're interested in the border, right? That's what this misinformations are. That's why they're targeting the Hispanic community, right? So, and this is also just what she said. So, and this is also work that is helping to address unauthorized terrorism, other threats, and see how disinformation and misinformation is being pushed to lead to increase those. So that's all work. We think it's work that's been ongoing for some time, she said. So what does this mean? I mean, Jim, what does this really mean?
Well, in truth, it's what I told you. My opinion is it's whatever the conservative voice is, that's what's disinformation. So.
That's what it is. I mean, this just so happens to happen the day after Elon Musk buys Twitter.
Yeah.
That's not a coincidence. There's no coincidence there. And honestly, if I could put the video up, it's just a short clip of Jankowicz. I will put that up there, and you guys can hear who she is. But this is literally to close out and to shut down every conservative voice out there.
Yep.
Oddly enough, 6 months before the midterms, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what their plan is. That's who she is. So, Jim, you got anything else to add to that story? I just think that's quite interesting, and the timing was even more interesting.
Well, I think it's interesting.
Sorry, it's a little jumbled up, my reading of it. I apologize. Well, honestly, that was
no, that's
great,
fine. But you made a good point, and the point was very well stated on this. That all of this other misinformation that was going around, Hunter Biden not being talked about,
correct,
ignoring the whole Gableman report, ignoring all of this stuff that's out there. We get knocked off of Twitter. But if we would have went on tirades about how racist this country is and we want to kill a bunch of white people, we would have stayed on. We wouldn't have been taken off YouTube. So,
exactly.
And so, but it goes to like you just said, Elon Musk takes over Twitter, and he's actually going to allow everybody to have a voice.
So he says.
We said this yesterday, or I'm sorry, on the last show, when we were talking about the last show, we said this. Just because you say something that hurts somebody else's feelings doesn't mean you violated free speech. Okay. If you hurt my feelings, I should not come out and say you shouldn't be allowed. That's wrong. That's misinformation. That's not true. People's opinions. All right. It's an opinion. It's folks. And the stuff that you and I report on, we get from actual articles. It's not, we don't go out and make stuff up like CNN does. We actually get the stuff. I consider ourselves more journalists than CNN. I do.
Well, at least more truthful,
right? And it's
more factual. Correct.
It's like, so all of a sudden, Elon Musk takes over Twitter and says that we're going to make this free speech, because that's what Elon Musk is about: free speech. That's what he's always been about. And
on what people don't realize is it's on both sides.
Yep,
free speech.
Yeah.
Free speech doesn't just apply to one group. It has lately, because that's what big tech has done. That's what the left wants, is to silence us. But he's for everybody's free speech, which I just interrupted you.
No, that's okay. That's fine. You had Madonna, during Trump administration about hoping Trump dies, right? She said it at rallies. Everybody out there just badmouth, all misinformation on things that attack Trump. They were never silenced.
Never silenced.
And so... So just because your feelings are hurt, guys, or just because you don't like me or you don't like Dale, I got news for you. I don't like Nancy Pelosi. I can't stand her. I think she is evil. I think she is bad for this country. But I don't want her to not have a voice. That's not right. She can have a voice. You got to be responsible for what you say. But if you back it and just because you hurt people's feelings, sorry, get thicker skin.
Yeah, really get the fuck over
it.
Yeah. I mean, that's the truth. Just get over it. Jim, let's move on to our next. Let's briefly kind of explain this whole interview and what this is about. So next segment you're gonna hear part 1 of our interview with Kareem J.A. Jackson. Literally, Jim and I we came across him on Facebook. And what intrigued us about himself is really 3 things. He's a Republican, he's black, and he's gay, right? Yep. That's initially, I'm going to be 100% honest. That's why I was like, wait a second.
Yeah.
That's the trifecta of impossibilities to become a Republican, right? Or be a Republican. Well, let's just say we don't think he's really Republican.
No.
He may be Republican in name only. Yes, Rhino. Maybe. He may even be less than that. So, excuse me. But one thing is for sure, he's an interesting person,
Yes.
and he's had an interesting life.
Successful.
And successful entrepreneur. You'll hear it all.
In all honesty, he's fun, and you're gonna and
he's a good guy.
Hopefully, when you listen to the interview, you sense that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's gonna be some things that he says that it upset Dale and I.
Sure did,
but it's okay. It's okay. You know, he's entitled to his opinion as we are, and we had a very nice conversation and a great discussion.
We did,
but
and let's be honest, he made us even think about a couple things.
Yes, he did.
There's some things we agreed on. Some of the things he said. Obviously, there's things we did not agree on.
Yeah, and vice versa. I think we made him think about some things. I think we did.
I think so
we had
too.
him look at it from different perspectives. So
I think so too.
Great interview. I like the guy. I think he's great. We disagree a lot with things, but
a lot.
But you'll see.
Well, you will see. So everyone, stay tuned. That is coming up next. Well, we welcome to the show Kareem J.A. Jackson today. How are you, sir?
I'm good, bro. I'm good, you guys. I'm so glad to be here.
Thank you very much. Cool. Glad to have you. Thank you for coming on. Just a little bit about Kareem. You run a podcast as well, a fellow podcaster. He's a business owner, a magazine publisher. You were a sergeant in the United States Air Force, correct?
Yep, that's true.
I think for some time. The reason we kind of hooked up is, I'll tell you why.
Not really hooked up. But I know
not really hooked up. You know, hooked up like that. kind of met on Facebook. I guess I shouldn't say that. So you're a gay black Republican.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
some folks may take that the wrong way.
They might take that the wrong way. Yeah. Well, how we all met, I guess I should say. So, Kareem, tell us a little bit about yourself and some of your experiences, and we'll just kind of move on with it from there.
Well, you know, you guys, thanks for having me on the show. This is so cool.
Thank you.
I don't do like political shows very much at all. Mine is like nerdy business stuff and, you know, trigger warning stuff and educational entrepreneurship stuff. But I used to have a show in Kansas, actually, an AM/FM TV talk show called Republican or Democrat, Who Should a Black in America Be? And so it's really cool to be kind of black in politics. I do support a lot of candidates, so it's kind of cool to be on your show. But mainly, you got it all right. I'm an entrepreneur, bro. I'm black. You know, I'm log cabin Republican for over 20 years out of Kansas. You know, the hometown of Superman's grandma. You know, Superman's mom over in Kansas. And I like what you guys are talking about. I don't always agree with with all the Republicans. Right. I don't always agree with Trump and whatever direction it's going. But at the end of the day, I do believe in the values. There's a reason why I became a Republican many years ago, you know, and why I haven't given it up yet. So I'm ready to talk about some topics, man. And you guys want to learn more about me. I mean, I'm CreamAntonio.com. They can check me out if they want to learn more.
Excellent. About me. Yeah, please plug that.
I'm here to talk to you guys.
The interesting part too is the interesting part too is that you currently live abroad, correct? You don't live stateside currently. Yeah. Okay.
I go back and forth, but I kind of been gone a while between Black Lives Matter and COVID and Trump and all this. And tourism just opened up out here 3 weeks ago, bro.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've just gotten to where we can leave and come back. So the issue wasn't that I couldn't leave. The issue was, well, what if I want to go back to my business? I mean, I can't. I would have had to wait till literally 3 weeks ago. I've been mad as hell when I left a year ago. Yeah, I would have been stuck.
So trapped for a reason, you know.
And for your listeners, I'm in the Philippines, by the way. I'm in Asia. So I publish magazines here. We got apps here. And I do a lot of marketing, business development stuff. So
excellent.
We outsource to Asia too. We outsource to here.
Oh, so great. Great. Well, I'm glad. I mean, that sounds like it's going great for you as well, too. You seem like a very happy, successful person in life and in business, which is great to kind of get your perspective on a couple topics. And I honestly, you know, whether you're familiar with a lot of them or not, but we can get into the Black Lives Matter issue if you want. I mean, let's jump right in.
Good morning.
Yeah,
America.
good morning, let's jump right into it.
Wake up this morning. Yeah.
Well,
Hope you don't mind if I have a drink. It's evening time here.
Well, it's evening there. You do it. Coffee for me, sir.
Thank God. Thank God. I would have been okay.
Dale
Let's
and
go.
Dale and I, the premise of Black Lives Matter, we completely support. We completely agree with. It's because we all matter. We all should matter, and there should, racism is horrible. I'm smart enough to understand that it's never going to go away. But our perspective is on the global network, the Black Lives Matter global network, because of the money they've spent and not spent on key things. So your take on it, because we support the people who actually go to protest for Black Lives Matter. We think, okay, this is legit. Let's do this. But it's then the upper levels of the Black Lives Matter group that I have some issues with, because not all that money's going. So if you could give us your opinion on that, or because from your stance and where you are actually at. So.
Well, somewhere around here, I've got a Black Lives Matter Philippines cup. I wish I would have known, and a T-shirt. So it's a global thing. Mm-hmm. Let me set this caveat for your listeners too, because I'm very cool. I can see both things. I'm a businessman. I get the whole why can they say it and why we can't say it, and why is it not all of us, or why is it Black Lives Matter? I get that argument. I do get it. We're the only race in the world that have taken a slur and made it cool, right? I mean, we're anywhere in the world, everybody knows. Hey, what's up, my nigga? Everybody knows it. We made it. We've only taken it. The Asians haven't done this. The Chicanos, the Mexicans, we have taken that slur and made billions off of that word, probably, but hip hop and everything else. But I'll say this is that I think that the way that it comes across is that before it became big, right? Mm-hmm. The Black Lives Matter was a simple way of saying, hey, we matter. We're here. You can see us. No different than the Me Too movement, right? It's not taken away from men, but it is talking about women and only women with issues, right? The Me Too women, not right? Because Black doesn't mean everybody, but everybody understands that there's issues that have happened, especially in America, and social media kind of brought it to the forefront. So they jumped on board with it. It became big. I don't think that just because the KKK is the KKK, which I'm from Kansas, and I'm from California, both places. So I know the Grand Poobah in California, and I know the Sun in Kansas. So they protested my businesses, they protested the bars and things that we've gone to, but I can separate, right? Bigots, shooting Black folks and hanging Black folks from the tree, and the KKK type organization, right? I can kind of, right? And I think that with Black Lives Matter, it was like a situation, man, where I'll tell you something. Black Lives Matter changed the game for Black businesses internationally. It didn't mean the same thing. Yeah, it didn't mean what you're thinking it means. There's a lot of situations, Black Lives Matter, Aunt Jemima Pancakes, Kentucky Fried Chicken story, so many situations globally where all of a sudden everyone was like, oh my God, Blacks did that. Blacks did that. Oh my God, this Black guy I've known, they've been complaining around the world. Now, oh my God, look at this video. It's true what they've been saying. They're being shot. They're being killed. All the way back to Muhammad Ali, Thriller Manila. Yeah. Now when they saw those graphics, they were like, oh my God, this is true. This is like, we didn't never imagine that Black folk, because we're so great and cool and right around the world. Mm-hmm. So Black Lives Matter meant that we didn't before. Hopefully we do now. And what you're saying is that all lives matter, which is wonderful. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, because that was the issue. Yeah. The issue was getting everyone to realize all of us matter. Mm-hmm. White guys already mattered. There's nothing new to that, right? White girls already mattered, right? That the issue was other people to matter, and specifically us because of what happened. And with the business spending stuff, man, NRA, they got mansions and helicopters and jets. Come on now. You got, it's like if any organization, Black girl, kudos to you, sister. You get in the game now. Go get your little house. Yeah. Go get your car, because that's who she learned it from.
Yeah, but that, okay, let me.
I know what you're saying, but it's like if you look at it, she's not doing anything different than Donald Trump. I went to the Trump Academy. Mm-hmm. If you look at the way that those situations, it's nothing. But what happens is, at least we feel like sometimes, that when a Black organization, especially a Black female-led organization, does something, there's this criticism. And maybe you criticize everybody. Don't get me wrong. And I've seen the whole thing with the house. I've seen the whole that it's actually like a company owned home and things like that. But I'm gonna tell you this, brother. At that level of the game, who you think is talking to her? It ain't black folks. I bet you money. Her lawyer's a white guy. Her real estate agent probably is a white guy. I bet you her score consultant. Is a white. People are telling her what to do, and it's not her anymore, too. By the way, you know that she's not over it anymore, right? It's a new organization.
We know that,
but she's so galvanizing or so popular or notorious for that matter that people forget that she's not actually over it anymore.
Correct. Yeah, she is not. You're correct.
And the reason I brought that up, Kareem, really was, and thank you for because we never condemn anybody for going out and doing, get what you want. This is the United States,
Be successful.
But what we're talking in terms of different chapters throughout the country are complaining because they're not getting the money, and then they're going out and spending money like this. That's all I was bringing it up. I'm not necessarily.
You got to give them time. You got to give them time to learn. Remember, we're Negroes. This is our first time we ever got anything. Like you come on now. You guys had slaves. You done burned down neighborhoods. Y'all done made a lot of mistakes to where you getting where you are now. Now we got our first little black. Remember, if you think about it, we haven't had anything like Black Lives Matter since the freaking NAACP.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like if you think about it, remember the NBA is actually white, NFL is white, KKK is. I mean, if you think something that really came out of a black thing, so that's like we've had two experiences. So maybe the third time is a charm. Like maybe when it comes to black and everybody's lives matter. When they get to that level, they'll have the right coaches and consultants, and everything will be great, and then they can spend money like the NRA, and nobody says anything though. She can do it the right way.
Keep in mind, I don't always agree with everything the NRA does either. I get
absolutely, and it's not. And I guess the perspective from two whiteys in America that would have been a good podcast name, by the way. But anyways,
that's what I said. I said you guys are good old boys. My little clip.
Good old boys. I know. I saw.
Good old boys.
It is when you hear about the complaints from the Ferguson chapter, basically kind of where all that kind of took place.
But you're gonna hear about that stuff. I mean,
I understand. I do understand that. It's not for me
like
to say.
Company, yeah, she got it was literally a teacher who put a hashtag.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, within 2 years, she had an international non-for-profit 501c3, and she had to step down as being the director because she didn't know what the hell she was obviously doing, or it was too many death threats and everything that goes along with it. And she made her money. She got her exit, the same as any corporation, non-for-profit or not. And then now, hopefully, they're going to run it better and things like that.
Well, but they say they are, which is all you can do.
How I see it is that's all it really was. It wasn't like sister is sitting up here trying to take advantage and do, and even if she was, she created it.
Yeah, and that's fair. That's very fair.
That is a very fair answer.
She's a 501c3.
Yeah.
If she had not done a 501c3 and kept it as a sole proprietorship or whatever the hell she would have done, and you wouldn't even be having this conversation. Yep. If she just made donations to her Facebook page or GoFundMe, if she would have done it that way, this wouldn't even be an issue. Because and the Ferguson thing, I just look at it as, I mean, if you and I popped up and then all of a sudden in 24 months we had 500 branches of a freaking nail salon, we'd be all fucked up. We wouldn't know what the hell to do. And the funding that goes along with it, and the name and the branding, we would be, we would stumble. We would stumble.
Yeah, and I might buy a house.
Yeah, that's fair. Look, Big Brother's
I'd buy a resort. It'd be like, Black Lives Matter resort. Come here and, get your therapy sessions.
I mean,
I would have had diversity, equity, inclusion seminars and getaways. I saw your friend. He has guys. He can teach them how to walk on fire. I would have had a whole. You just would have been mad at me. I'm sorry.
We've had situations.
At all.
Yeah.
United Way had their issues that they ran into it, and
Big Brothers,
Big Sisters. All of these organizations have it. They've been bad, and it cost them. You know, like United Way, it took them a while before people started trusting, okay, where in the heck is my money going? I completely get it. But I'm also one, and everybody who claims to be a not-for-profit and everything else, I don't care who it is, okay, that I feel that there's a level of responsibility in it. And there's so yeah, it does not matter who it is, who runs it, or what runs it. But you know, I do appreciate you saying what you said, because it is a different thing. You know, this started out as a hashtag moment, and then all of a sudden it blows into this big thing where billions of dollars are coming in.
I mean,
fair enough.
Supporting it.
Fair enough.
International money from all over the world is coming in.
Oh, that's
right?
true.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is a chapter in Ferguson, so that's a branch.
Yeah,
that's like it's like their franchises are if 7-Eleven, if they complain, I'm sure the same thing. I'm sure they complain. To the corporate, what happens? Cheese is black. Let's smoke cheese, burn. What? No one's doing. It's like that. I think.
I think it's like with us. It's when you look at it and you look at any group, any situation, and it could be political party, it could be just a social organization, but the fringe movements are always the ones that get the news. They're always the ones that get the attention. So when you see them burning, and they weren't the only ones, because that Antifa crap was going on, right? And they were infiltrating it, and they were jumping on board, and that's a whole nother subject. But when you see them like burnt with the Antifa, I'm saying when you see them like burning down businesses, and a lot of them black businesses, that's when you start to think, what the hell's going on here with this organization? Like you can't control fringe groups. It's hard. I get that, and it's the same thing with right-wing extremists or left-wing progressives that are going apeshit now out there. So I mean, I appreciate that was very good information for me to hear from you, because I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
I never thought about how this really began,
and I guess that's
how billions of dollars can just go right to your head as quickly
as 24 months.
And
24 months during lockdown.
Yeah.
And the SBA wasn't open. SCORE wasn't open. There was nowhere to get coaching.
Yeah.
Robert Kiyosaki was fucking in Hawaii somewhere on a horse. What's his name? The tall white guy. What's his name? The big tall, Amazon white guy. What's his name? The motivational speaker.
Tim Robbins.
Yeah, Tony. He was off. He was on lockdown.
Tony Robbins.
There was literally nowhere. Tony Robbins. There was literally nowhere to. I'm sure to get any help. And so she said, well, you know what? Well, I saw Robert Kiyosaki. Robert Kiyosaki said, buy a goddamn house, and then traded for 3 hotels. And so I'm going to start there. I bet you it was just that simple. She heard a Robert Kiyosaki commercial, on AMFM podcast.
Yeah.
Real estate. Just hide it in real estate.
At 3 a.m.
Tax-free. No taxes.
And let's
put it in the real estate.
That's
and
right.
All of a sudden, because you see, she didn't lose the house. So whatever she did, it wasn't illegal.
No. It's not.
It's not illegal.
We never question.
So whatever she did, she got the right coaching. It doesn't look bad.
Yeah. And
she should have had a big sign that says Black Lives Matter.
No, there's no proof she got white coaching.
Like the YMCA, she should have put a Black Lives Matter CA on the front, put some basketball courts in the back, had some cooking lessons and some hairdressing lessons, and and then it would have looked different.
Yeah. It would have. And that's why we have you on. Your different perspective, because you have that perspective and stuff, and I appreciate that, and I respect that. That's that is a good example. When you have that much money flowing in. I mean, if we won the lottery tomorrow, I guarantee you, I don't spend money for over a year or two. I'm gonna go out and spend it. Yeah.
It wasn't just money. It was. She has international offices popped up.
Yeah.
Even if she didn't want you to be her whatever the hell, everyone was saying Black Lives Matter, like you were saying with Antifa and all the people burning stuff. You didn't know who was burning what.
No.
Right. So
correct.
And I will say this. I touched on this when we talked privately last time, and then I did when it wasn't private, but we'd be off the camera. And then I did my intro video to promote this show with this. I'm saying what I saw as a Black Republican American, right, who has business, was that you look in those streets And it was like, before it was just black folks
yeah.
hanging in trees, trying to get education, trying to get to drink from the water fountains, trying to get a job at Sprint, AT&T, trying to get diversity, equity. Now you saw everybody.
Yeah.
So it was like, it's your show, but I'm gonna say it because I can say it. It's like we are all niggas now. I see. What I saw was, this is what I hear is, you're putting her in the same category as any other non-for-profit. You're judging her the same way you would Boys and Girls Club, whatever. Which, if as a black person, that's a compliment.
Oh, I guess you're right.
Yeah, I'd be like, so you mad at me because I bought a house? It wasn't illegal, but it wasn't, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, but I'm talking.
Okay.
You're right.
And I know
it's a good problem for us to have, because in the day, I don't like them burning things down. I didn't like that. I didn't get that, and I'm not that kind of a person necessarily. But in the day, it was bad, man.
Well,
you've got all of these groups upset at one person, one group, technically upset at the Republicans, so to speak, technically, right? For whatever reason. Remember, Antifa got their issues. They're legitimate. Their means are kind of, but remember now, Antifa, they kind of white. So, y'all got y'all.
I know
they got
that.
the black toes. They think they ops. They got the little pockets everywhere. They fashionistas. You know what I mean? They got the shoes and they got a name for their clothes, like hip hop. They got a name for it.
They do.
I can't remember what it's called. With all the pockets everywhere. And it's from Korea. So my thing is, they have their issues. Blacks have their issues. Women have their issues. If you look at it, everybody kind of realize we're kind of all in this together.
Yeah, I guess my big issue, Kareem, is that with a lot of this is it always appears, at least the appearance is that we had all of these riots and all of these, this racial divide and everything going on during the Trump years, but then a Democrat takes office and we've seen it. Riots go away. There's no more Black Lives Rally like movements in this country. Like, it's still there, it's still a presence, but it just always shocks me because Donald Trump was a racist, he's a homophobe, he's a sexist, he's a xenophobe, he's everything on top.
Every
of the world,
white guy used to want to be.
Yeah, so
he's to me he's the last of the Mohicans.
Yeah.
So let me tell you this. Let me answer your question. To cut you off.
Yeah.
To me, and I got my Trump ties. I got every course he wrote. I was in Trump Academy. I didn't complain. I was like, I need my money back. I learned shit from Trump. What you talking about? I don't know what you want your money back for. I don't need to see his ass. What? And then now it's virtual. You will never see him now. Now now you're be on Zoom with a cartoon or some shit. And you'd be happy with it. But my point is that was the last of that ugly white American guy. I think that image that he portrays.
The image.
Yeah. That image used to be great. It used to be what it was, but that to me is just not a good image for you guys. And what happened was he made everybody mad.
Yeah.
And then I understand the loyalty that white guys have because black folks were the same way. If I see a black person in freaking France and they walk by me, we hey, what's up? I don't care. I'm the African American. We all Negroes. We could be across the street. Yeah. I get it. But at the end of the day, he was he was the business part. But remember, he's also kind of a fake business dude. He's great and wonderful, but he's never really done anything. I went to the academy and remember, I studied the art of the deal, the art of the comeback. I got all the CDs. I got the ones where it was his real voice talking because he cusses and talks shit and motherfuckers. And goddamn it.
Oh, I know.
I wanted to hear the real course,
real
right?
Donald Trump. Yep.
Yeah. And at that time, this is 20 years ago. At that time, Robert Kiyosaki and him have a book together. I have that. At that time, I was a business guy trying to learn clearly how a white guy. He was a Democrat, by the way, and I was a Republican.
Yeah, I know that.
Okay, he was not a Republican. He was a Democrat, along with Oprah and everybody else. So I didn't like that kind of thing. Jim Carrey or John Kerry. Sorry, not John Kerry.
What's
John
the
Kerry. Jim Carrey.
Well, kind of the
that
same
dude in
thing.
them ugly ass
Ace Ventura.
khaki pants? I used to hate his khaki pants, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it was like he to me is the epitome of the white privilege thing. And white guys love it. It's kind of that old school, like when he was sitting there grabbing by the pussy, whatever. Come on, I worked at country clubs. I belong. I know exactly how they talk. I know it. That's exactly it. But that is white privilege. They just don't know it. A black guy couldn't do it. A Puerto Rican guy couldn't do it. It's not just. That's not. And women allowed that. That was a normal thing all the way back to the 30s and the 50s, and it wasn't like that was new. But that old style, that old guard, is that he was like the last of the Mohicans to me.
Well, I mean, I can see that point, actually.
And so he brought out all the things you're saying. He brought it out.
Mm-hmm. Well, brought it out to those that oppose him.
Fear. Well, no, I mean, brought it out in the people that are with him, because he's not the last one. He's the last of the 5 million, maybe.
Yeah.
No, there's a lot of white dudes like him that know deep in their heart they are not skilled. They got where they are because of name and branding and business and savvy and all, which is not real. That's all just leverage. That's all quantification. That's all it is, right? So you know the difference between when you made it yourself and you could lose it tomorrow and not have to do some crazy deal and not have to hurt anybody and you didn't get it, and you got it because of you're so smart with tax, that's not intelligence to me. So I think that he's right from that perspective. That immigrants are taking your jobs. You're right, because back in the day you didn't even compete with Negroes. So now all of a sudden you got to compete with blacks and Mexicans and Jews and remember Indians can work now too.
Yeah.
Women. You got to compete with the women, and then
it's not the immigrant taking my job; it's the illegal coming into the country. But
I'm saying him from his perspective is that he's competing with every illegal, non-illegal.
I get that point. I get that point.
Yeah. So to me, his perspective, which is dying, right, was he didn't get the inclusion. He didn't get the way that we're moving as America. He didn't understand the power is that we're all together. No other country has that. We don't need to be Europe. We don't need to be Paris. We don't need to be Germany. We don't need to be. We're the only Benetton country. Yes. When you see American athletes in the Olympics, like abroad, if you've ever been abroad to see the Olympics, like in Canada or somewhere Asia, man, you would have so much American pride. You would, because you don't know what the hell they're going to look like when they say they're from America. You don't know what they color. We don't know what they might be gay. Exactly. It might be a boy, but the girl, you don't know. If we can win, it's in. Like it's we okay, you're transsexual now.
Which just brings me to a point about the diversity of our nation compared to a lot of other nations. I don't recall ever seeing a young black female on the Chinese gymnastics team. They're all Chinese.
They don't allow it. Yeah.
They don't allow it. They're all Chinese.
They're trying to do it now, though. Well, as long as you got to give up your citizenship, because they're trying to compete.
Oh, I know. Well, you're right, because they had like the American skier, female skier, who had
or basketball team, things like that.
Correct. Yeah. They're trying to do that. Well, because they can't compete in those sports, so they have to do something, right?
But if you think about it, if you didn't allow black folks in the NBA in 1950, you couldn't compete either.
Well, I'm not saying you're wrong.
If the black league had never been entered in the 1950s and would have kept their own, right?
I think the Negro leagues in baseball too. Yeah. To be honest,
with you. Exactly. So my thing is that we're stronger together. And
agree.
To me, guys like Trump,
agree.
That's the part they miss.
Yeah.
Those guys that are that's the part. So that's what upsets everybody. So but they're all out there.
Did he really miss it, Kareem? I mean, did he? He
misses it.
When you offer school choice and you offer more money to HBCUs over here, and you're seeing more black Republicans, black supporters, and you're seeing somebody like Barack Obama who really did nothing for the African American community over here. So did he not get it, or is it somebody, say the media, say the opposing party, dividing us by telling us that he's not getting it, that he's not that guy. He's a racist guy.
Well, Barack Obama did a lot for Black America.
I have to disagree with you, but go ahead.
I've heard this a lot.
Mm-hmm.
As from the white perspective, maybe not. But you got to understand.
Yeah.
You're comparing the distant relatives mixed out of wedlock baby of slave people to other American presidents and saying he didn't do a lot. So that's one.
I mean, what I mean by that,
which is not fair. I'm just saying that'd be like you saying someone at your company, it's his first day on the job. He's never worked this position before, and you're comparing him to the veteran that's been there for 25 years.
Agreed.
It'd be the same. So if he does compete with that veteran, so who the fuck is really fucked up? The veteran is really the one that's not doing so good. So that's one. So he did do a lot to me in the sense that when I went to the Philippines, for example, there was some kind of a thing for blacks businesses to outsource abroad. When you look at the fact that he did become president, that's huge for us.
That was the one thing I would say.
Correct. And more than America, the whole world saw, black folks can be presidents. They can be. It wasn't just Kobe. It's not just Oprah. It's not just okay. Then there's the other thing is that he was beloved all over the world.
But that doesn't help me, though. That doesn't help me.
But when you have international businesses, when you're traveling the world, when you're black traveling in Paris, when you're black traveling somewhere else, it helps.
Okay.
And then when you're in America,
from your perspective, I agree.
Yeah, and I'll give you another one too about him is that he also had a very good family. Trump did not show anything to your children or mine about being with your wife and loving your wife and raising fabulous children. He did not show that.
I disagree. Great.
I get what you're saying. My father has had multiple fabulous, beautiful wives. Like Trump. My dad's a black Trump. He got his suits and he loves Republican. When Republicans in office, our family business would always do better. Yada yada yada. I get it, but when it comes down to it, you know how hard it is for a black American to do that. If you look at statistics of divorce in America, black divorce, broken homes, all those things, this person was like a 1%er. So when you look globally, it represents America. It's not Obama. It's not even Trump. Around the world, it's America.
Yeah.
And they see America as this. So then I thought that was great. Now, when it comes to policies and things like that, I think he did a lot for what he was going through. He was the first one. And he was a very good black person. Like every black person, we were all waiting for our stomping ground. Like, we're going to march on the Capitol. What we going to do? We're going to go, we have a 5 million man march now. What are we going to do? And he never did that.
Yeah.
He never did that to your country. There is nothing that black man did, despite everything he went through, his wife being called a baboon, all this stuff, to make anyone angry. Not even blacks stormed the Capitol. Think about it.
Well,
he didn't even do anything to upset us.
As a whole, I would agree that he didn't.
Which to me, that is huge for a black person.
And you're right. And you speak
that's
from
that's diplomatic. I can't even. And then the girls are all cute, and then there's no drama, no scandals, nothing to embarrass the American.
Well, there was some.
I'm just saying,
there were some scandals.
There was no scandals. Like, there was nothing. I look at the president a little bit bigger. Like, I look at it like...
You look at it globally, where I look at it more nationally.
Yeah, and even nationally, he didn't do a lot in comparison to when you compare him to other presidents. Like you're saying, the HBCUs and all that. Okay, whatever Trump money gave to HBCUs, that's all Trump could do because he's a white racist. What Obama did? Spoke at the HBCUs multiple times.
Well,
he was physically there. I'm just saying, if you think about it, but where Trump spoke, right? Rallies, Obama spoke at these schools, talked to these kids. It was a little bit different than what you see. So, and that was the first time in history that whatever that means. I don't know what the fuck that means. There was no, it didn't happen in my class, right? But whatever that means to the kids, that was the first time they were able to get that ever. It's always gone to the white guys or they've always went to their own, Yale, Harvard, those kind of things, right? But now, so there's intangible things that he did that to me are as valuable, if not more valuable, to America, than what Trump did. And I'm gonna tell you this too: that ugly American look, that was Trump.
What do you mean by that ugly America look?
When you travel the world, I'll give you this. And this is a very frank, clear statement.
Okay.
When you travel the world, and we're a certain age. When you look at MASH,
okay.
and you see how the white guys treated the Asian girls at the clubs and the little bars, and how the white guy was rude and condescending and maybe hit his wife or hit his girlfriend when he got drunk, all those things. When you look at how they have they don't believe in not divorce and which is okay. It's great. Americans, my family, I get it. But that image, right, was what they call internationally the ugly American. Where, yes, was he okay? It's great. But remember, if that was Obama, you tell me the honest truth, and this is what most blacks go through, even me, in my great suits, all this stuff. I know for a fact, if I applied for a job at your company and I had 2 or 3 wives, you looked at my credit report and I paid off a porn star. If I bankruptcy 7 times, you wouldn't even hire me as a black person. There is no way in hell, unless I had a connection, if I could somehow talk my way into it. But just if you looked at a black person, doop, 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 doop.
I also, though, to be fair, would not hire a community organizer who didn't show up for his job a lot. So now I'm just saying,
Who's that?
That's Barack Obama. I mean, he was very rarely did he vote in the Senate. Yeah. So you know what I'm saying? Like, he kind of was, I will say it, groomed to be this guy. Am I wrong? Was he? I think he was fast tracked.
But that's amazing, though.
Well, okay, that's amazing for you, but not for what I think my country is.
In America, that's like you trained. It's like you trained. This is very bad.
No, don't say what you want to say.
I'm gonna say this because you know what, you're gonna know it's freaking true. That's the equivalent to me of when white guys say that a black guy in a suit or a monkey in a suit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was.
What I just said was the equivalent of that.
Yeah, no, meaning if he did that, to me the monkey in a suit's cute. To you, it something the word to me it's like if he was groomed to be that, right? Yeah. That's a badass groomer. Whoever the hell that groomer is.
I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying any of that.
But he achieved that from a trailer with his wife. And he, mind you, don't forget law school. Don't forget politician. It wasn't like he just popped up off the world and when he became a politician. I'm just saying all of those things, that's a lot of credit from someone from the hood.
Well,
that's all I'm saying. Is that you can't.
I'll look at it from that perspective.
Trump started from here and he made president.
Mm-hmm.
Obama came from here and made president.
I don't disagree.
And then you're judging them when they get to presidency, you're judging them equally, which is understandable. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's like, but how much empowerment is that when you see it? I mean, I don't know. I know what you're saying.
It's a perspective from you, and I honestly respect it. I do. Again, I don't agree with it, but that's not. It's not. Well, it's okay. It doesn't mean that because I don't agree doesn't mean it's right or wrong. It just means that
I'm not emotional. He made president. He lasted two terms. Yeah. Nothing to do about it now.
Yeah, he's
well. I
have
about that.
I have always.
And next time we get the next black one, we know what to do. We're gonna be like, okay, now you need to do more than Obama. You need to do. It's the same as when Bush won and the Republican for a long time, and then all of a sudden there's another Republican one.
Yeah.
Every time.
Okay.
That
brings a good question to that adds to this next question because and I want to, what if the next president, because I hope the next black president is Tim Scott, Senator.
We're big Tim Scott.
So how is that going to be perceived? Because right now in a lot of the Democrats' eyes and some, African Americans, black, they feel he's Uncle Tom, or
Yep.
Oreo,
Mm-hmm.
and things like that, where I listen to him and I hear his story his story about his grandfather. That gave me goosebumps. And I don't look at him as black. I look at him as a good, solid, conservative candidate that I would love to see as president someday. I don't care what color.
Who happens to be black.
Yeah, it just happens to be black. But that's what I want to see, someone like that become the next black president.
And then I want to see how the left and how
they
those
perceive
folks
him
react to him, because there's this clear political divide, and you know it. It's you're either Republican or conservative or liberal or progressive, right? So you've got this middle ground. There's nobody moderately that's hanging around the middle anymore. At least in the portrayal from the media and from politicians themselves. And so it would be very interesting to me to see a Tim Scott become president and then see the reaction from the African-American community. I believe he would be well received. I don't think it would be, but like any politician, you're going to have your opposition.
He won't,
black, white, Asian,
he won't face the same things Obama did. He's going to be judged a lot worse than what Obama was by the media, by all of that, and maybe even by the rest of the world, because Tim Scott's going to be stronger, on that.
He's a conservative,
and it's not,
on those conservative issues. Yes.
So anyway, that's how I see it, and that's what I'm hoping. I'm praying. I'd love to see him as vice president in 2024, but hey, I have to wait maybe.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we'll see, but.
Well, Brother Scott, I will say this. I get seen a lot like he does. Like I'm seeing that way in business, political circles.
Are you?
I'm
Good.
not actually. Yeah, I'm not actually, but I'm seeing that way when I'm in the room. To be honest, I agree with you in the sense that let's see what a black Republican, would do, what the difference would be. Because maybe that's y'all's problem. Maybe you need a Republican that's got some color. Maybe you need a Republican that's a woman.
I've said that for a long time.
Yeah.
I think Jim and I have both said that.
Yeah, because you gotta, if you gotta call your game. If you're saying that you're this party and it's not about color, it's not about this stuff, and it's we're not a racist party, then this would fix that. The same as Obama fixed America's issue. Like at the end of the day, if you're not in America and you're outside, or if you're in America and you don't know all this stuff that we're talking about, all you know is, America's not full of shit no more. They got a Negro now. Okay, all right, well, we can listen.
I can see that from an outsider's perspective.
Yeah, so. Because you're always saying it's equal. Now they proved it that it is. And he had a black family too. So that even helped America out even better. Because now they saw black families. They don't know about the hood. They don't know about homeless. They don't know about welfare and all that crap. They don't know about any of that, black or white.
Yep.
Now they see we look like, we look like the TV shows.
Yeah.
Two black girls and a dog running through the house and
that's true.
It was a good look for America, right? So maybe that would be good to have him there, because that would maybe open the eyes, I think, to the Republican Party. But again, I'm gonna tell you this, man. I don't really recognize the Republican Party anymore. It's not the party that I joined 25 years ago. That's not. I
don't think the Democratic Party is the party of 25 years ago either, to be honest with you.
To be honest with you, I don't even know much about their. My family is a very political family. The Haleys are my family.
That's
Cleaver.
True.
Yeah. I grew up at Cleaver. I grew up in the political family. So I don't really. Democrats to me represented everybody.
They used to.
Before,
supposedly,
Republicans didn't represent the Dukes of Hazzard's clan. That wasn't how I saw Republicans. I didn't see it. I saw them as business. Like I told you, my story of how I became Republican was completely organic. It wasn't like I went to a rally. I literally was an award-winning entrepreneur already, and my clients, I would see them during the election for Bush, very proud Republicans, right? Having their Bush chain, I guess I can't think of on their stickers. And I was like, well, what is that? What's a Republican? What is that? And they would tell me. And then the motto that they told me back at that time, which does still remain the same, I will say, was, teaching you how to fish, opposed to giving you fish.
Correct.
And it was very clear because, I was in SCORE, I had SCORE people. I was National Entrepreneur of the Year nominee for SCORE. And they they're kind of a Republican, heavy organization, actually.
Yeah.
I was a Kauffman Foundation Fast Track alumni, and I was a poster child for them. And I opened a magazine with them in mind, too.
Yeah.
Kauffman was a Republican who back in the day would not hire my father because he was black. We grew up in the same town as Ewing Kauffman. So I'm curious to see about that.
Okay, well, you all just heard part 1 of our interview with Kareem Jackson. I would love to hear your feedback. Jim, I imagine we're going to get some feedback, perhaps, on this one. Part 2 will air on this Thursday show, so which gets a little bit more, I think, into a little bit more disagreeing on our part. I think part 1, Jim and I might have been feeling the crowd, right?
We were. It was our second interview, and we invite him on, and we felt we needed to let him speak.
As we should. And he speaks in the second half, too, but it's a great... Yeah. I think the second half is even better.
We were a little
than
more
the first half, for sure.
disagreeing with him. We should have disagreed a lot more because we disagree on the Trump situation a lot.
Oh, my gosh. We disagree. I am in no way in agreement with that at all.
Yeah.
But the man has an opinion, and his opinion in the world of free speech is allowed to be said. And he's a hell of a nice guy.
Yes, he is.
Really, he's a hell of a nice guy, and I consider him a friend of the show. And that's how we want it to be. We can't always agree. We have to be civil. And I disagree on things. We do. We absolutely do. You're right. You're right. We do. And so, but we obviously, you and I have more agreements than we do disagreements.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, correct. But anyways, guys, that was episode 23. That was our interview. Please give us some feedback. You can follow us on YouTube and Rumble. And right now, again, on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If you had some difficulty finding it, it's because I'm using a different platform to transfer those over to Spotify and Apple. Mm-hmm. So I will always post the links on our Facebook page, which is 2 Guys, 1 Coup. Simple. Go to it. And I will also post it on TikTok. You will see it on there. We'll have little blurbs, and we're on there like crazy, you and I on there. So please like, share, follow, subscribe, comment, give us a review. Super important. If you could give us a review on Apple and on Spotify would be great. Whichever one you're listening to, please do that. Jim, what else do you have to say today before we end this show?
No, I think we've said what we needed to say, and we'll speak again next week.
We'll see you. Thursday. Thursday. Jimmy, you're a little off today. You're just a little off.
I am a lot off today.
I love it. A little off, Jimmy's okay. I love it. Yeah. So, anyways, Jim, thank you again. Another wonderful show, and we will see you on Thursday. Okay, brother?
Okay, we'll see you.
Bye.